Let's see. So you guys wanted some all stars on, and so we got them here. And if you want to tap into some sage advice, I could think of no one better than these folks here. So it is the end of year, like I said, and some of y'all are kind of struggling or figuring out where that next step is. And let's start with you, Gloria. Let's get a little intro to who you is and where you're at.
Gloria Schmidt, Chief People Developer, Keller Williams Realty Landmark. Where I'm at is I am just counting my blessings. Counting my
Absolutely.
blessings.
And I had to start at the top of the chain because without you, a lot of this would not be possible. And I do know that you recognize that you have all stars under you that keep the boat afloat. But you know what? My iterations through multiple different work cultures have got me to a point where if you don't appreciate the leadership that appreciates you, then it's a vicious cycle that never ends, right? And so you have bred this culture and nurtured it, and so I am grateful. We have one of our rookies of the year, Miss Patricia Canale. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, Chief Knucklehead. No, my name is Patricia Canale. I have been with Keller Williams. This is the only company I've been with since I became a first-time realtor back in 2021. Yes, so listen, I've had a good year in real estate. Um, I've learned I had a tough time at the end of this year with the loss of my dad suddenly and unexpectedly. In real estate, life, you don't have that much time for other things. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. In this particular case, I'm extremely grateful to have something to hold on to when I feel very lost without my dad of so many years. Um, I feel like it is really important to learn how to maintain your life as a business person while you're still going through life issues, because it's really easy to forget that. It's really easy to put that aside and just suffer through your whatever's going on in your life. So I'm grateful to have this place to come to and to keep being inspired to continue to do more and better in spite of
Spoken like a
what life
master.
throws at me.
Evans, you sir, you
Um,
last, certainly not least.
I'm at a loss for word. My name is Evan St. Gerard, real estate agent here at Keller Williams Realty Landmark, part of Team NWE. I've been lucky enough to be in this business for over, I think, 11, 12 years, I think now. And I still like what I do. Excuse me, I still love what I do most days. And the environment that I'm in, it keeps me level-headed majority of the time. And much like the shaggy beard that I'm growing, my business is growing also, and everything that I learn, everything that I put out is growing as well. And that's pretty much it.
I mean, couldn't have made those intros better myself. So, I mean, obviously we are all in the real estate industry, right? And although I imagine we're still going to get our way into that conversation, for me, I kind of want to tap into the other things, right? So, for starters, how often is it that you guys reflect back, whether it's on your personal life or just the things that you've done in general?
Often. I mean, as Pat said, she had a rough end of the year, as did I. I had a death in my family. And it's true. You can focus on the negative. I mean, life is a cycle. It's a cycle. I chose to, while I was grieving, remember all the amazing things that happened to me this year. My youngest child graduated finally, thank you, Jesus. Passed her medical boards, got engaged, accepted a job, an amazing job at a trauma and surgical unit. So, like, you got to focus on every little positive win that happened to you the year, right? Because I feel like now, especially now, with everything going on in life in general, politics, inflation, like all the negative crap we hear on the news that it's so easy to forget about the blessing you had yesterday. You know this about me already, Alex, but I am a big journaler. I feel it, I write it. It is my way of constantly remembering like all of these great things that I have to be grateful for. So I think we need to do more of that, especially going into 2024. We need to do more of that.
1000%. What else you got? You other two miscreants.
Miscreants. I love that. For me, for this year, I think it's just being more focused on what you want. Focus on what kind of business you want, what kind of life you want, and what kind of education you want for yourself, so you can be better and better serve your clients, and also be good to yourself as well. Because you can't be good to people if you're not good to yourself, and we do forget that a lot. We're all in work mode all the time, and we don't take care of ourselves. And I think I started doing that more basically for myself, taking care of myself, what I wanted to do for myself. That way I can handle and work with other people as well. And I think once you start doing that more, you'll see what kind of people that you're attracting within your circle. And you have to protect your circle also. That's one of the things I learned a lot this year. That's all I got.
I mean, Patricia, you got anything left?
So, well, for me, it's really interesting. So, I came on board, was a successful year. It wasn't what I wanted. The next year began and things started moving more quickly, more in line with how I saw my business going. But it's interesting to me, I didn't know where my business could go, and I didn't even know how to think so large, right? I worked, I was a salaried employee for my entire career. So you knew the limit to what you could earn, your earning potential, and you learned to live your life around that. And then God gave me an opportunity to do something else that broadened what my capacity and what my ability to earn was, but I still lived in the mentality of what my salary would, that kind of, those kinds of limiting beliefs. And so I saw in this year that I exceeded my very modest goal. So I moved the goalpost. And when I reached that point, I moved the goalpost again. So in reflecting, what I can say is that I know that you have to think broadly in this life, because you have to be able to accept that your capacity is limitless. And it's very hard for a lot of us to do that. And so as I sit here today, and while these past couple of months weren't the kinds of months that I wanted for the end of my year, I still sit here today knowing that I did more than I ever thought I could do, which means that there's still more that I can do. And so that fills me with
Absolutely.
hope and drive to push forward.
Well, tenacity and grit would be
Harder
certainly
and
something that
better.
I will attribute
Yeah.
to you time and time again. I mean, look, there's no, you want to call it a fluke, fine.
Thank
But,
you.
when I see those who have hit cap within the first 2 years, right? And we know this year we had a few, right? There's a stark difference between the way they operate and the mentalities they keep. And even if the belief system isn't there per se, because I don't like I'm gonna throw him under the bus, Carl, right? He'll still have this. Well, I don't know, man. Like I don't think shut the hell up, just do the work, right? And he's like, well, that's what I'm doing, right? And proof is in the pudding. Patricia, yourself too. I mean, you were bubbly, you were a go getter, and I couldn't speak to the mentality you had then, but there was always something there, right? It's like that. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I'm gonna do it anyway, and you did it. You did it, right? And when you hit these metrics,
I call it I call it the crazy. The crazies live up there, where it's constantly trying to figure out the next move. Even while I'm in the middle of the move that I'm in, I'm always thinking about the next one. And so I think that's just,
Mhm.
personalities succeed in different ways. We all have different personalities. Look how many successful people are in this office. I mean, there's so many successful people. And when my name appeared on the top 20, along with some of the highest, heaviest hitters in this office, it was as if I won the like Grammy Awards or something. Like, what? That's crazy to me. Crazy. Crazy. That's
She is
crazy.
so modest, okay? I mean, not only is she, in the top 20 of this office, but she's like, what are you, top 2, 3% in the entire board,
Crazy.
right? So, and she's the type of person to ask me if I made a mistake. Like, come on. When it comes to that stuff, I'm careful, right? That's what you call modesty.
Can,
Mhm.
can I ask you a question, Pat? How long have you been in the business?
It will be 2 years in January.
All right, so you're no longer a
Mhm.
rookie.
Right. I'm no
I keep
longer,
telling you this all this
I
time.
accept
You're no
that.
longer a rookie.
I do accept that, Evans. I feel like
All
it
right,
would be insulting to the rookies to say that. Yes.
all right, and so like I'm telling Pat, we have to change our mindset to where we were to where we want to be,
Hmm.
and that's one of the things I've changed this year and for next year. I'm changing my mindset on a lot of things. I'm locking myself in a room. I'm doing what I have to do. I'm saying I'm going old school also. I'm reaching out to people, calling them up on their birthdays, on their anniversaries, sending out cards and stuff like that. And I'm starting to see the results. People are calling, they're reaching out, and people like that. And you start getting a high out of that also. Once you get that high, you feel like you can do anything. You can conquer the world, and you're more motivated to pick up the phone, call past clients, and do what you got to do. See if you can help them. If not them, maybe somebody else in their family, in their organization. Help them with whatever the real estate needs are. Maybe be like I don't want to say a vessel, but basically be an advocate for them when anything real estate related, whether it's buying, exploring, investing real estate. Because a lot of people, as we just had our Santa Claus thing with the clients coming into the office taking pictures with clients, something that I realized, the people I sold houses to, their kids are no longer at that age where they believe in Santa anymore. So they're going off to college and stuff like that. So that sparked something in my brain. You know what? It might be time to start talking to my clients about, hey,
Angelo S. Jonas.
this is a good time that you should invest in real estate for your kid and for their kids, and just start planting seeds. So it is changing changing their mindset also. Maybe they weren't thinking about investing in real estate. Maybe now might be the time.
And these two here, when it comes to comfort zones, polar opposite, right?
Mhm.
His comfort zone is social media. His comfort zone is video marketing. His comfort zone is business to business interviewing, right? Pat went into 2023 doing the old school things that we teach that Evans is actually getting back to. She called, she texted, she built new relationships with all of the people she had at open houses and such. But social media marketing and video was not her comfort zone. And they pushed each other, right? They
Yeah.
pushed each other. And I don't know how many people follow her. I do. My children actually follow Pat Canali, to watch her videos. And this is true and a funny story. My daughter was like, "Hey, what's that lady's name? The high friend," you know, because it's like my kids know a lot of realtors. Um, I just think it's amazing that
My talking
in
head.
this business, right? It's not just about like setting goals and having an action plan and about being a big thinker, but it's also about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. If you're doing something and
That.
it's not working, then you need to come up with new and innovative ways to grow. And she grew this year because she got into social media and she got into video marketing. Um, so I think it's hysterical to have these two next to each other. Um, Total opposite at the beginning.
I can't be compared to
Please
Mr.
stop.
Evans and his amazing ability to, but for me, it was really monumental because it's a very difficult thing. Even doing this podcast, I mean, I could talk for hours, but seeing myself on camera is a really challenging thing for me.
But I
Really,
think that's
really
for everybody,
challenging.
though. It's not
And
just you, Pat. Even though I've done this a few times, I'm
okay,
always nervous when the camera's on. I know exactly what I want to say. I know the
yeah,
format, but then life happens, technology
Mm-hmm.
happens. There's a power shortage. The internet's not working. You spill your drink on your keyboard. Anything can happen at any time, or somebody walks into your office while you're talking. Stuff happens, but guess what? We roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
right. So I think what Gloria said was extremely valuable, especially if we have new people on this call. I think that in order to be very successful in this business, anytime you feel that level of uncomfortableness,
Mm-hmm.
that's not dangerous, of course. You have to listen to your instinct if you feel like you're in danger. But I'm talking about like you may hesitate, say you're sitting in bold, because this did happen. And there are people that hesitate to ask a question, to get up and to speak in front of everyone. And I remember sitting at our bold table saying, well, that's when you should do it. Get up right now. You feel that feeling, get up right now and actually do that very thing. Because one, first of all, you're not going to die over it, that this is not something that's going to kill you. But what you will have done for yourself is tremendous. People will say stuff to me about, you get up there and you teach a class. It's very nerve-wracking. People feel nervous about stuff like that. But what I've learned over the years of my life is that when I get that feeling, I have to step over it. It's the best explanation of it. I step over that feeling and do the very thing that makes me uncomfortable. So if I feel uncomfortable about knocking on that door, I say to myself, go knock on that door right now. If I feel uncomfortable about a particular phone call, I sit there. It doesn't always work, but I sit there and say, make that phone call, because that phone call is holding you back. It's holding you back. New agents need to really know that when they get that feeling of uncomfortableness, they need to step over that line and actually do the very thing. And that's how I felt with social media. It was a very hard thing, and it's definitely not as
Well, I
hard
mean
now as it
that
was
translates to
before.
everything other, even outside of real estate, right? I mean, if, like generally from this
Mhm.
conversation, almost the recurring theme that I seem to be hearing is, first off, focus on the things that serve you, right? Like whether it's a bad narrative, good narrative, right? People, right? And so focus on things that serve you as opposed to things that do not. Secondly, there is a, I know David Garcia loves to say this, but, don't be a professional student, right? Rather than being 1000% prepared, why don't you take the steps first and figure it out as you go, right? And there's a interesting thing of being comfortable, being uncomfortable, right? And obviously, as agents, this is our main focus, reference point, but it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, I guess there's a reason why employees are employees and employers or business owners are what they are. I feel like I have yet to meet a business owner of any sort that hasn't kind of went around that cycle of, as a business owner, you're kind of always putting out fires, right? It's just a never ending process of when something's going wrong or something needs to be fixed, something needs to be adjusted, something needs to be improved. But the other side of that also, I guess another point would be there's almost a never ending reverse engineering, right? Whether it's taking a model that works and you backtrack into how can I do it, or what do I want to be, or what do I need to be to get this done? What is the goal? And then backtrack into finite steps, like actionable steps, And obviously, this goes right back into, now that you figured it out, go and do it. Right? Even if it's wrong, do it and then find out, okay, this was wrong, and then pivot, right? Rather than, I think it's wrong, maybe it's not this. No, if you can't make a decision, pick one and move. Let's go. Do I have that somewhat correct?
The only thing I would add to that, and this is the time of year where whether they're outside of Keller Williams or in Keller Williams, I sit down one-on-one with our agents and I go over the gaps in their business, what makes them comfortable, what doesn't, and I'm going to push them to do the things that make them uncomfortable. And my last line with every single person I meet, Evans is coming soon, right? I have a couple coming this week. Is never, ever set limits on your unlimited potential. Ever. Because whether it's whatever it is that makes you happy doing and getting business, never, ever, ever set limits on your unlimited potential. Because there are millionaires that today people look at and say, how in the heck did that person ever become a millionaire? I'll tell you why. They didn't set limits. They didn't have they call it cocky, call it whatever you want, but they didn't set limits on what they thought they could achieve.
What I want to add to this is basically Nike has a slogan, just do it. It's pretty simple. All I have to say out of that is basically, in order for you to do it, you have to study, know your craft, and then come up with a plan, a realistic plan that's going to work for you and your business. You can model yourself after anybody you want, but you got to be true to yourself. Is this really me? And start future pacing. Where do I want to see myself in a year, in 6 months, a year, and then 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever the case may be. But come with a plan and mastermind with people. Find people who have the same goals that you have and start hanging out with them. And you'll notice that basically as you're hanging out with different crowd, different people, you're going to start taking the same attributes that they have. You're going to start reading the same books. You're going to start listening to the same podcasts. You might start listening to music. You might change. Some of your behavior might change, but it's changing for the better. And a lot of this, basically, you do have to open up your mind, your mindset, and focus on the stuff that you want to focus on to get you to the next level. And again, circling back to just do it. Start one day at a time. Start reading different material, whether it's something about the market. Start talking to your lender on a weekly basis, daily basis. Start role playing more, so that way you're not practicing on your clients. It's very simple. The success formula is very simple. Just not everybody wants to do it. That's what it comes down to.
And can I say, so having been someone that's the closest to having newly done the very thing that you guys are talking about, I want to say to anybody out there that's listening to this that is new, that doesn't really understand that concept of just go out there and do it. Because I was that person that felt like, what do you mean just go out there and do it? I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing. How can I just go out there and do it? So the thing that worked for me, and I guess that what I'm trying to say in all of this is try to find the thing that works for you. The thing that worked for me was doing productivity coaching. And a lot of people don't really understand the value of that, but I did from the very beginning. And I used productivity coaching for all that it was worth. And it is, I will tell you, one of the key things that made me better at what I was doing. And let me explain why to any new person that might be out there trying to figure out whether that's the right move or not. With productivity coaching comes somebody who is there to hold your hand through the process of learning how to just do it. So it's sort of like walking a tightrope, but having a safety net under you. So first you get the education, you go to all your classes, because without that, I don't think anybody could be any good without really understanding the business itself. So I spent my first year dedicated to that, listening, learning from the best, going to the classes, helping to improve the language, my real estate language, right? So that you can sound like the professional that you're saying to people that you are. And then using productivity coaching to implement all of that. Because there were times that I was in the middle of a crisis, for me, that was a crisis, not knowing, oh no, what do I do now? And I would get Evans on the phone and I'd say, Evans! And he'd be like, don't worry about it. This is all you have to do, blah, blah, blah. Or he explained to me what was happening in that scenario. And then I was like, okay, now I know. And I moved on to the next scenario. And soon I was able to go without training wheels or safety net because I had filled my brain with a lot of this information. But if it wasn't for the ability to ask all of the people like Gloria, Evans, all of the people who have tons of experience and willing to answer questions, going to the classes and having a productivity coach be my training wheels or my safety net, I really do not feel, I feel eventually I would have succeeded because I just am driven to making it whatever happen. I want it so badly, but I would never have been so successful so quickly. It would not have happened. So those people out there that don't think that there's value in sitting in the classes or doing productivity coaching, I say that I think they're missing a very key opportunity.
It's
Can I add something? All right, I just wanted to say you brought up a key thing coming into the classes. It's not just coming into classes; it's coming into the office, utilizing all the things that you have access to. You have everything, all the computers. The most important thing that you should be taking advantage of is pretty much the other agents that are in the vicinity of where you are. You have questions. You can't really ask questions if you're home, if you're watching Jerry Springer. I don't know if Jerry Springer is still on the air, but you're watching Jerry Springer or you're watching Price is Right. We get distracted. You're doing the laundry and you're making phone calls. How focused are you on the phone calls if you're doing the laundry and making a sandwich at the same time? If you're in the office, you have no choice, but you're hearing Pat on the phone closing a deal. You hear somebody else closing a deal. You're sitting there like, you know what? I'm competitive in nature, so I got to close my deal. I got to start getting uncomfortable. Let me go into my phone book, start calling some people I haven't talked to in a while. Oh my God, there's some scripts here. Let me go through these scripts. Wow, this is really easy. After you start making the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 phone calls, you don't think about it anymore because it's just part of your nature. It becomes your habit. You start coming into the office on a regular basis. You have your spot. You find your spot. You make your phone calls. Every 15-minute break, you do, go walk around the office for a bit. Go back to your phone calls. You have your mailings basically to send out. You just start getting into a routine. But you can't do that if you're staying at home. You're getting distracted by everything else. Let's face it, as realtors, shiny object syndrome, basically we see something floating. Wow, what's that? And we need to stay focused. And the only way you can do that sometimes is coming into the office, get a routine, get a coach, like Pat said, whether it's in productivity coaching, whether it's BOLD, whether it's any of the programs that we have in the office, tap into those things more often. And you have the lovely Gloria here, make an appointment with her and the rest of the staff. You need help with certain things, they're here to help you. And you also have the LC members, that you can tap into also. But always be mindful, everybody has schedules, so please respect their schedules.
Hey, 12 years later, I still have a coach. And 30 minutes every single week to hold me accountable to the things I say I'm going to do. Not necessarily everything, but the things that I committed to get me to the next level. And trust me, Mark, if you're listening, I love you. Thank you for holding me accountable, because I honestly don't think I would be here today without the amazing coaches I've had along the way. So,
yeah, I mean I think
I'm glad you mentioned the coach. Go ahead, Alex. Sorry.
I feel like it's one of the most underrated things that it's not even a secret anymore. If you look around, it's coaching, mentoring, right? It's one of the things that high-level performers do, and most of them will say, "I wish I did it sooner," right? But it's one of the things that people starting out tend to they write off too soon or too quickly. That is one. And the other side of it is the interesting idea here is, I think about how our office has been just exceptional in so many ways, right? And obviously, for me, my earliest thing has been the culture. The culture has to be on point, otherwise everything falls apart, right? I've worked at billion-dollar companies, and working there is miserable, and people get turned over and get chewed out, and the best talent leaves, right? Whereas here, you have people. Honestly, if the running joke is KW is the training grounds for all the other brokerages, then why do we have heavy hitters that stay here, right? So for me, the flip side of
Message.
that, yeah, I mean, what gets interesting is there was a research study, and I forgive me, I don't remember the percentages, but they found that when you have high performing individuals in a team, then if you tend to be in that team, you can only get better, or the propensity for you to get better is astronomically higher than if you just went to a run of the mill, because the environment breeds that, it instills that, right? Likewise, if you have an underperformer or someone who is actively just a schnook, like just a lazy bum, let's just call lack for a better term, who stays with that same group, that group will be multiple percentage points lower in performance. Why? Because excellence breeds itself, but so does negativity, right? And what I've seen in the office is those who are go-getting will be accepted into the group much faster. But through iterations, maybe it just naturally happens this way. If an agent notices that you're not doing the things that you're supposed to do, and you're just wasting everyone's time and efforts, you're gonna find yourself weeded out, right? Because it shows in the work that you do. Like if I walk into the office, as I walk through, yeah, there are times where there will be small talk, but as I walk through, more times than not, someone's on the phone, someone's dealing through some kind of deal, someone's working through a CMA, they're working. And this isn't a boss looking over their shoulder saying, "Hey, Bob, what are you doing? What do your numbers look like today?" No, it's on them, right? You are your own business. Yeah, you work in an office with other realtors. You work under a brokerage, yes, but you are your own business. No one cares if you close the deal or not, except for the fact that you still have bills that are due, right? And so for me, and like I did take a walk through another brokerage recently just because I had things to do, and there's a difference. There's a huge difference in the energy in the office. There's a huge difference in the caliber of people. No shots to everyone else, but when I walk into KW Landmark, at any given point, there's always someone on the phone. There's always someone working through a deal. There's always someone consulting with a client. There's always something being done, right? There are actions being taken to move that needle forward, right? And so it speaks to excellence.
And there's the old, I'm gonna date myself here, but like the old television cheers, right? When people walked in, it was like, "Hey, Norm, hey," right? When you come into Keller Williams, everyone knows your name, because you can't be family, you can't be a family if you don't take the time to get to know one another, to know each other's names, which to me is like, come on, that's as basic gets, right? But from the second you walk through the front door, as you're walking around, it's nice for people to be like, "Hey, how are you?" And that's culture, that's energy, right? And to everything else, success leaves clues, Alex, right? Everything you just said, success leaves clues. So you want to know how to be successful in life, we're telling you, surround yourself with a incredible tribe, right? Who is going to push you to be the best version of you, and just do it.
And for me, that's gonna be right rolled into my life audit, right? So like I know there's gonna be a lot of people. Well, I don't have mentors. I don't know where to start. Da, da, da. All right, fine. Look, if you notice that the circle of people that you surround yourself with are always complaining, not moving forward, and always have some kind of excuse for why this can't be done, that can't be done, well, start finding people who are in upper echelons, right? And find a way to provide value to them. Find a way to provide value first, right? What can I help you with? Do you need do you need a guy, right? And from there, find your way in, right? I'm sorry, I mean, one way or another, you have to push in, right? And so from that point, keep circling around those higher performers. They may transition into being a mentor, or just watch what they're doing. Like their successes usually aren't highly held secrets, right? If I walk into, I could literally, if I were to just stalk Evans and just stand outside of his cubicle, please don't do that, by the way. But if I were to, I could just by watching his work ethic, watching him how he take notes, right? And for me, my thing is just as I find better, high caliber individuals, for me, those are my case studies, right? And those that are doing complete opposite and aren't doing anything for themselves. Look, I might love you on a personal level, but for me and my family, I need to do better, right? And so for me, that's my level of progression. Like excellence kind of tends to clump together, as does miserable people, right? So for me, as I find more excellence, I find myself feel better too, right? Like when I'm down and like when I get hard on myself, they're like, look, man, how is that going to help you feed your family? I'm like, I guess it doesn't. Well, then what are you doing? What can you do right now? I know you feel like garbage. What can you do right now to increase your situation, right? Cry about it? No, but can you, all right, then either solve the problem or find something else to fix. Let's go.
We always say, and this is literally since the very first month I joined Keller Williams all those years ago, I was told if you're the smartest person in the room, get up and find a bigger room.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my entire career here have done that. When I go to these training events, whether it's family reunion, mega camp, masterminds, whatever, I find the room where I feel the most uncomfortable with, the smallest in, because I know at the end of the day, I'm going to walk out there just a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of nuggets. I think the one thing I'm going to keep stressing is just stop overthinking things. And I want to talk to the agent who has been doing this for a while, and maybe they lost sight of where they were. They had a bad deal, because honestly, stuff happens. A deal dies. Give yourself grace for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. You have your pity party, and get your bleep back to work, mm-hmm. and go replace it. Mm-hmm. So what? The buyer decided to work with somebody else. Oh well. Find somebody else to replace it. There's more than enough business out there. There's more business on your phone that you're not touching, that you should be touching. And remember, if you're not calling, you're not texting, you're not communicating with them, your competitor is. Mm-hmm. So do you want to find out now or later on, basically, hey, I want to sell, I want to buy, I want to invest? Mm-hmm. Or do you want to find out later on when you're having that get together and they tell you, hey, guess what? I just sold my house. Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Yeah. You guys know I'm in real estate. Yeah, but I never heard from you, so I decided to hire Pat instead. Mm-hmm. It's not a comfortable feeling finding that out, especially from a family member that basically they choose somebody else over you. So you better do your best to stay in contact with everybody, remind them of what you do for a living, and it's not just basically me. Show them value as well.
I love that.
Show them value.
I love that, because a phone that doesn't ring couldn't possibly be answered.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. I wish I could pick up my microphone and drop it right now.
And I also feel like if you're not working on the solution, whatever that is, whether it's how to get to the next place, you're actually mm-hmm. just mired in the problem. And one thing I know, because I'm a thinker, I always overthink, think. Luckily, I'm also a doer.
That's not luck.
I don't know.
Pat,
I just be
Pat,
stuck
that,
in a
that is not luck.
Just thinking. But I think that all of that is so true, that any question not asked is always a no, right? If you're not part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. If you're not just mm-hmm. doing it, what are you doing, right? So I think we have all of these things. I do understand how it can be overwhelming. I do understand that. But I think if you keep, just like, the horses when they wear those blinder things because they want the horse to keep going forward regardless of the distractions on either side. I think if your focus is just to keep going forward, I think eventually you will get there. And for me, I know I wanted to get there quickly. So you had to so I was kind of running, not just walking there. I recommend that highly because it makes you feel much better when you're actually successful at something you're doing, and it makes you want to do it more. So I recommend run, don't walk. Don't give yourself so much time to get there. Just run. Run towards that goal line. And then when you get there, move
like
the goal
that.
line.
So I
I
want
like
to
that.
put Evans
Move it.
a little bit on the spot. Him and all of
Oh, here we
Team
go. I knew this.
WNWE, right? NWE, Lord have mercy. And I've known these guys a very long time. Yes, just do it, but you've got to have a plan because let's face it, things are changing, right? Things are changing. And I'm meeting with them. And I told them I want to see your plan so I can see the gaps, what's working, what's not working. And look what I got. You see this?
Ooh.
Team
Wow.
NWE salesman. This is
They're
they
fancy.
understood the homework,
So
people,
fancy.
right?
We understood the
And
assignment.
they came in. I know each member of the
Yeah.
team's goals, individual goals now. I know what their goals are as a team. I know what actions each member of the team are doing. So, do you think it's going to be easy or harder for me to give a little spanking when I need to?
Easier.
Yeah, that's how you know the difference between average and above average. You know, that's how you know. I have to tell
You are
you,
part
Girl,
of
you
the
better
man.
stop
I
playing.
disagree.
Stop
and I
playing.
look, no,
Stop.
wait, but I look forward to becoming
No,
in the above
No, no.
average
We think you're there
No,
already.
no.
because
So
I'm
let's
not
reframe this. Let's
even,
reframe this, right? So
no,
I will say you
yeah,
are above average, but you were not satisfied. Because for you to say that you
I
are
like that.
average, right? Well, in
well,
my opinion, will put a lot of shade at those who are actually doing what they're supposed to, just haven't hit that level of excellence. You are above average because, I mean, Gloria, I'm sure we'll find the statistics if you need to.
Statistics.
Within 3 years, how many agents have actually capped? I'm gonna say a very small margin. 2 years, make it less. Within a year, that's come on. Like who are you playing with?
Let's just look at the facts, all right? And this isn't a Keller fact. This is a national average fact that came down from NAR, I think in July of this year, that the top like 1%, the best of the best, had only had 4 closings, 4 transactions, not even closings, 4 units closed in the first 6 months of the year. And that is the top of the top. So
Because 90%
It is.
of business go to top 10% agents. Whether you want to believe it or not, I'm going to argue you're in that ring, right? So see, this is the thing, right? I think a lot of people who are focused on doing the work don't necessarily look around to say, oh, I'm like top shit, pardon my French, right? The people who work think, okay, I did okay. I did okay. But on the flip side, I feel like there's a reconciliation that you're always trying to run. Am I good enough? Am I there yet? Am I doing it? You're just doing work, right? And so if you're busy doing the work and executing, you're not spending that much time looking back and saying, okay, well, am I doing better than the competition? You don't have time. You're just working.
no, I never. It doesn't even occur to me. I'm
Right.
I'm the biggest.
So in your mind, you're
competitor
always
for
going to
me.
be
I'm
okay. You're just going
always
to be.
competing against. But there are things. Look, we all have
course.
ways to improve. All of us. I mean, I aspire to doing some of the things that some of the top people who have sustained their business over years. Okay, I did well, but let's talk to me in 5 years. Let's see if I was able to sustain that because that's my
Okay.
goal, right? To sustain
You will
a
surpass. You
strong
will surpass.
business for
Pat,
the
you will
long term.
surpass. You will surpass whatever your goals are.
Well, so I know that I have things that I know that there are things that I could do that would make me better. If I was this successful doing X, I know if I added Y to that plan, then I could be even more successful than I was. So I'm aware of that. Like I know that I need to make those I mean, look at that beautiful document they gave to Gloria. Look at that. They knew to do that. They knew to compile this document because they understood what it takes to have
Pat,
a
they didn't know
long-term
that in year 2.
sustained
They
good
didn't know that in year
No.
5. They didn't know that in year 7.
Right. So
Okay.
I get that.
Like
And
You,
Okay,
I
I
have
get
these
it. I
appointments
get
with
that.
them quarterly every year, right? And it's like, okay, show me your plan, show me your numbers,
oh,
what's working,
ooh,
what's not. Do you know your return on your investments? Like I'm a broken record for most people.
oh,
it's not just her. We're getting it from our individual coaches also.
mhm.
So you're getting from all corners. Basically, know your numbers, know your numbers, know your numbers, know your numbers. After a while, you go like, maybe I should know my numbers. Maybe I should track my numbers. So we're all doing this. Dean basically spearheading this because it's more his thing, but now it's more our thing now. So we're all adapting to it, knowing our numbers,
Right.
tracking on what's working, what's not working, what could we be doing better. And it's just basically just having a sheet like this, book like this,
Ooh, Patricia's
using your
gonna be. Oh, that learning
Gmail.
curve's gonna come
I
quick.
use the bold sheet. I still
I
use it.
know.
Yes,
I still
you
use
use
it.
simple stuff like that. It doesn't have to be crazy. It's just simple stuff. All right, I made an appointment. Great. What did I do correctly, basically, on this appointment? Did I get the signature? Did I ask enough time, basically, to close? What could I've done? And the other thing I want to stress is we need to practice more.
Patricia's the
I
gears
can't
are
stress that
turning in
enough.
her head. You see that? You see that look on her face?
Just
Ooh, that. Ooh.
practice more. And you can't use the excuse, I don't have anybody to practice with. You have a cell phone. You have a mirror. Put the mirror up somewhere, stand up, back straight. Talk to yourself as if you're a client. And then you got to show the facial expressions. How badly do you want this listing? How badly do you want this buyer to sign this contract? Then let's emote that energy basically to the mirror and make that mirror, your mirror image, want to sign. They're actually picking the pen and they're signing. So basically, whether you have your cell phone, I would encourage a lot of people to do this. Start recording yourself basically for your presentations, and see like what you're doing. Your body is what you're saying equaling what your body language is, and if it's not, then you have to put them in alignment, and just start from there. And then again, track your numbers, because Gloria's going to be asking you those questions. What's your number for this? What's your number for that? Your profit and loss.
I'll have
And
to
then
make an
let me tell
appointment
you,
with
and
Gloria.
like
I think
things
I'm gonna make an
change, right?
appointment.
As the market change, we have to
Yeah.
think differently. You know, I always had the belief that your business should be list heavy. But as the market changes, you have to rethink your business strategies. I mean, our
You have
coaches,
to adapt.
our coaches right now are looking at our numbers, and my coach is looking them obviously as the entire market center, but he's telling me you need to be 50-50 in this market. So, I mean, even things like that, knowing what percentage your business is buy side versus sell side, knowing like where your business is coming from. Is it coming from your database? Is it coming from social media? Is it coming from door knocking, business to business referrals? Like, you need to know those things because those are the things you have to continue to do and do more of.
I think that's the thing. What you said before is in year one and year two, you have to know
Mhm.
that it develops over time. Because when you're new and you're just trying to get to that you're just trying to
Mhm.
get to that goal line. That's what your goal, you're trying to get there. That other stuff is overwhelming because you're like, how do I think of all those things while I'm running towards that goal line? But I can tell you that as you're in the business and
Mhm.
you have some level of success, you do start thinking, your thinking
Mhm.
starts to branch
Mhm.
out into those kinds of things. Like when Evans was speaking before, and you, Alex, said, look at Pat's mind. I was thinking of two
Mhm.
listing presentations I just did. And what did I do in those presentations that I could have done better? And what eventually will be the final outcome of those, and because my thought is always to ensure
Mhm.
that I get every listing presentation. That every time I go on a listing presentation that I get that signed contract. This market is a little different because these people who are also inquiring are not necessarily ready right now. So they want to talk with an agent, and I want to be the agent that after they're done speaking with me, that they say, I really want to use that agent. So when the time comes that I'm ready to sign, that's the agent I want to use. And I will keep in touch with them to ensure
You
that
know,
I'm
you're
top of
Can I
mind
stress something else?
when that time.
All right,
Yes.
I want to just put this message out there. As we're making appointments, we're going on appointments, and we're meeting with people, it's okay to say no at some point. Maybe you're talking to a client, it's not a good fit, it's not going to work out, but you might know another agent that you can refer them out to, make some money, because it's not a good fit for you. Maybe that the client basically is looking for something basically that you can't accommodate. It's not your area of expertise. Maybe it's okay to say, I can't do this, but I know somebody who can, that you're going to be in good hands. And then you reach out to the other person and you make the connection. You can't get 100% of the money, basically, you can at least get 25%. So just know basically what your limits are. If you can't do something, refer it out. If a client is difficult and it's just not a match, it's just like in dating, work, whatever it is, basically, it's not a match. It's not a match. It's okay to say no.
Pat, you
And if
said
the client basically doesn't respect your way you work, how you work, your systems, it's just not a match. I'm sorry.
No, no.
What were you about to say, Gloria?
you said that this could be all, could be overwhelming when you sit down to come up with your own action plan, right? The very first thing, okay, and my coach has me do this, he actually sends me the form and tells me when it's due, is a very simple growth plan. It says January through December. And I have to tell him 2 or 3 things that I plan on doing every single month that's going to get me a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more experience, a little bit, whether it's a book I want to read, a specific class I want to go to, or a convention, or committing to doing an activity every single month, right? As simple as that, January through December, and writing down the things that I have to do every single month, right? The other thing is, Keller Williams calls it a GPS. 1, goal. That's what the G stands for. What is your goal? Whether it's monetary, units, what is it that you're trying to achieve in that year? P, priorities, right? You need to have 3 priorities to hit a goal. Maybe those are different buckets. Maybe one's lead gen, one's marketing, one's profit share, like whatever your 3 priorities are going to be. And then coming up with 5 strategies for each priority. And when you, I don't want to say dumb it down, but when you clump it and you say, okay, my goal is to make blank amount of dollars next year, which means I have to close this many units next year. And then you come up with the strategies of how you're going to do it. It gives you clarity.
It does. It does. Taking it in chewable bites is definitely the way to go, especially as you're evolving in the business. Because that's what it is. It's an evolution. You're just evolving in the business. To get a phone call from someone that says, "Oh, I just gave your name to someone who's interested in selling a house." That's huge, because that means that you have just broken that barrier of just being insulated. Now you've reached out, and other people are looking out for you to help you get business. That's a huge thing, and that feels really good. So you can see why someone who puts in the work, who's dedicated over the course of years, can have a successful business, because you expand your circle, and your circle helps you get that business. But when you're new, you can't really see that. You might know it intellectually, but you don't understand it. How is this going to play out? So, I'm lucky because, in year 2, I could say that happened, that's happened to me. That's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. So, and in year 1, I mean, I did have people that I knew that called me and said, "Listen, I need your help with something." And we were successful. And those are the people that in year 2 now reached out to somebody else so that I went on a listing presentation, because they're the ones that spoke highly of me. So it's kind of a domino effect,
So
right?
at the end of the day,
It's a
just
domino.
do. You figure everything else on the way, right? And then you incorporate. Now, let's see. So we went through a lot of, I guess, more shop talk. But I am curious on, this business doesn't really lend itself for a balanced personal life per se. I mean, I know this year I had such big plans of, oh, the summer's here, the kids should be home with mom, and I can't wait to be in the office Monday to Friday. And then I could have sworn I heard my kids laugh at me. Uh, just Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, there was a moment where the frustration kind of it built up for a while, and I got to a point of like, look, what am I, why? There's and so the balance is always going to be hard, right? Whether you have young children, a significant other, or just life in general. So, were there any things this past year that you kind of tweaked, adjusted, revisited, just a personal life standpoint that kind of whether you're still struggling with or just something that came to resolution where you found balance?
I'll share. All right, it's not a secret. I like to eat a
Mm-hmm.
lot more than I used to, and we had a competition in the office, and I lost a lot of weight. I lost about, let's say, 20-ish pounds,
Kudos.
and I felt completely different than what I do now. Since the competition ended, I went back to my old habits, and I gained the weight back and then some. So knowing that I could lose the weight anytime I want to, it makes it click in my head of like, you know what, you can do this anytime you want to. You have the motivation. You definitely did it before. You can definitely do this again. Whether it's losing the weight, eating right, just exercising more, going back to the gym, it's a combination of things. You can do it if you want to. And I'm like, how badly do you want this to happen? It's not just lip service. How badly do you want this? What's your motivation to make this happen?
Kudos.
So you can take that from your personal life to your business life, your love life to everything. How badly do you want this?
Hell yeah.
Well, personally and professionally, I wanted to do a lot of things this year. I mean, I had two nieces get married, and I wanted to make sure that I was very involved in some capacity to that. Um, my daughter, I said, she graduated, she got engaged, now we're planning a wedding. But on the personal side, like, and this is going to sound a little crazy, but a lot of offices were Keller Williams offices, I think real estate offices in general, were facing a lot of challenges this year, and their numbers went down. And my goal was, while that was happening for everyone else, when it came to rankings for Keller Williams, I wanted ours to go up. And these two beautiful people will tell you that I am super excited for the first time in all of the years I've been with Keller Williams. Our office, like, rankings went up incredibly. Like, we broke the top 100, we broke the top 70, out of growth, profitability, those things, out of the 820 something offices. So I think it's okay to have like those kind of goals too, as long as you are finding that like work-life balance, because they're tied, right? They're tied together. I knew if I couldn't make that happen, how was I going to afford to have an elaborate graduation party for my daughter? How was I going to afford to be generous to the weddings I went to? I turned 60 this year, and my husband had an amazing 60th birthday party for me. That could have never happened if those things didn't happen. So, like, everything ties together, personally and professionally, if you think of them as having success in both levels. So,
So, so, okay. So, as a single mom, I spent most of my life dedicated to raising my son, and everything was, as you know, having young children, everything is about them. So everything was about him. And I'm in a different place now in life, and I like this place because I get to focus on the thing I love doing, which is I don't I I love to work, but it's not just about working. it's about succeeding. So over the course of years, I had to redefine my life so many times. And that happened with COVID when COVID hit, and I was laid off as part of a massive layoff. And now it was time for me to redefine who I was again. And I feel like it was God's plan for me that I try to focus on building my own business as opposed to giving everything I have to someone else's business. And the fact that I don't have small children and I don't have other things that prevent me from being focused on that, in a way, it's really exciting because I know that I can dedicate the time that I need to grow my business. And then life hit again, and my dad passed, and my mom is who has dementia is now left to needing care. And the beauty of being in this business, you have to get that in your head, figure out how the puzzle pieces fit. But the beauty about being in this business is that your time is your own. And that while, yes, when you're busy, you have demanding clients and you have deadlines and things like that are happening, and there's a lot to manage. But you can fit in during the day going to see your mom to take care of something she needs taken care of, like taking her to the doctor. Whereas in a traditional 9 to 5 job, you really don't have that. So again, I find the luxury of being in this world that I can be as successful as I was this year. And I pray that that level of success, I can sustain that even though this new element has happened in my life. And so I don't know, I find it exciting to think that my earning potential is not impacted necessarily by the traumatic things that are happening in my life, as long as I understand that it's about taking both and finding how they fit together, like Gloria just said, how they live symbiotically together. Doing one doesn't exclude the other. Doing the other doesn't exclude.
I mean, for me, I feel like this past year, I feel like I do it, constantly, but this year's soul searching has been kind of a understanding their phases in life, right? And me having 2 young children definitely altered things in the way I view things. It's not that I didn't know, but I think it just really sank in that this time that yeah, and I guess everyone has their own way of metricing and benchmarking things, and for me, I got to the thing of I will never get this time back with my children, and although as they get older, I'm sure there'll also be instances where daddy really shouldn't miss. For now, with everything going on, it was just something that I realized that's not something I want to negotiate right now. And in terms of things with my marriage, not one size fits all, but for me, there was a moment where I realized that we were both going crazy, working, dealing with children, and then trying to figure out how do we keep this house from falling apart. And we do have help, but still, there's just at the end of the night, I found that we were getting to this issue of we were just so burnt out that we were just trying to decompress in our own way. And I realized that I wanted not that there was any problems there, but before it became a problem, I realized I want to be in a situation where at the very base level, what am I doing all this for? At the end of the day, I wanted a full, robust life for my family. And so for me to go out and say, let me just make $1 million and not have anything left when I came home, that was not okay for me. Right. And so for me, I noticed that I wanted to take more time. And even if I need to budget out, like block out time in my day, and shout out to you, Gloria, I took a page out of your book of, no matter what went on through the day, I needed to have a block of time where me and my wife, me and my children, like separate time blocks where we could have that. So I could say I could connect with the people that mattered most to me, and everything else will become secondary. Right. But I do believe that I have let a lot of relationships go astray. And I did notice that there was a time needed for me to say, no. whether it's just out of the blue, I need to say, "Hey, how are you doing? I know it's been a minute. I'm sorry. Like I've had, not that it's an excuse, but this relationship matters to me, and I just need to check in and make sure you're okay. Are you okay? Is everything good? Do you need me for anything?" And I know it sounds ridiculous and I felt ridiculous doing it at first, but the response back was actually more than I anticipated, right? Like, actually, man, like, I'm really glad you reached out. This, and this has been going on. And, I just, the amount of times that people will actually think of you is sometimes is surprising, right? Like, I actually thought of you last week, and it was doing this and this, and I was like, yo, Alex would have loved doing this. It's that reconnection, but I think it's taking the time to reassess every now and then what was important, what is important now, and what did you let go of, and should you actually be taking effort to kind of rope that back in. But it is also end of the year. It is holiday season, and this past year has been financially hard on most. Would you have any like financial advice for folks?
I could say, can I just say, don't spend more than you have. That's really a really big thing. Don't understand your own personal limits because people don't, and that's serious.
Is it
Very
something you really
serious.
need? Is it
Sorry,
something you
Gil.
really want? Figure out which is which, and can your family benefit from it now, as opposed to, do you actually need another TV?
And
Maybe buying a book on financing might be more beneficial to the whole family.
I'm gonna say, and this is something my mother told me when I got my first job. I think I was 13, and she said, every single paycheck, you're gonna take a percentage and you're gonna put it away. It's you're not gonna feel it because you didn't have it to begin with. And I have practiced that my entire life. Like, I don't care if I made $100 or if I made 10 grand that month or whatever the number was, a percentage of every single check gets put aside so that if I have an emergency or I have a wedding or I have a backup plan. So you decide how much that is, whether it's a percentage, a flat amount, whatever, but take it and put it away, and don't spend it, because more often than not, I mean, I think about how much I spend on Starbucks. Don't tell my husband. And it's a ridiculous amount of money. And if I stop that and I just put it in an account, whether you're a smoker or a Starbucks crazy person like me, it makes a big difference. So save it.
Just changing one thing in your lifestyle could make a financial difference. If you go out for dinners, lunches, maybe pack your lunch and your dinner basically, or you figure it out. You pack your food basically. You prep your food for the beginning of the week, for the whole week. God knows how much money you're saving right there. Maybe treat yourself at the end of the month, maybe twice a month. You figure it out. But basically, just take little steps, and it'll turn into bigger things later on.
My husband laughs at me because every month when we get profit share, Keller Williams is a profit sharing company, a third of it stays in our family account to do whatever we want with it. A third of it goes into a tax planning and savings account, and a third of it goes into our emergency fund. And he's like, we don't have any emergencies. Our kids are adults. What do we need to put that back into the emergency fund for? Because you never know. So,
Well, I will tell you this. I raised a child and saved a house on a salary that you guys would, if you only knew, you would laugh at it. And I had a goal that my son and I would go on a vacation, no matter how bad things were. We would go on a vacation every single year. And I kept that every single year. Now, what you might think is a vacation might not be the same as what my vacation was, but every year, even though, we went somewhere that we could call our family vacation. And it's all about understanding your money and what you should and should not be doing with it. We did not go out to eat because that's one of the biggest ways to spend money that you don't have. So when he was little, that wasn't something that we did. We didn't do that because I knew I couldn't afford that and buy him shoes at the same time. So I feel like we had a full life because God gave me the smarts to say, listen, these are what our goals are. This is what we need to live. And we have to do it this way in order to make it through. So if I could do that, anybody who earns a
Oh, yeah.
salary can certainly
And since y'all covered the
do it.
bases for savings, and although actually, you know what, Evans, you were onto something. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say basically it's very simple. Go talk to your CPA. Simple. You don't have one, find one. I'm pretty sure one of us realtors can point out somebody, and he's right here to my left or right. Talk to your CPA, find a financial planner, have those difficult conversations with the family, and just start with a plan. Talk to the CPA, talk to the family. Everybody put everything on the table.
Absolutely. And I know, like, there are a lot of things that seem counterintuitive, right? Go get a mentor, get a coach. But I'm not at even when you're starting out. Why? Actually, you're cutting down on the time of things, right? Financial planner, CPA, good attorney, things that people think you need to be rich to have. But I would argue getting
No,
them.
you don't have to be rich.
Exactly. Get the plan forward. There's a old story, right, where someone's saying, if should I get paid by the hour that it takes to get something done, or by the product itself, right? And someone said, well, if you're going to get it done in 2 weeks, then why would I pay you the $10,000? Well, you're paying for excellence and the time it took for me to get it done in 2 weeks, right? And so for me, if I'm trying to get my way up, why don't I invest that money in someone who will get me there much faster, right? And so a lot of, we've touched on the ways to kind of live within your means and budget your money intelligently. Now, if you were in a situation where, hey, Alex, look, there's no going out, there's no wants on my list of expenditures, fine, let's figure out how to make more money, right? And so for me, the other side of it was, once you clear away all of your unnecessary excess, and I'm not saying that you need to live like a pauper if you don't have to, right? There should still be some semblance of reality that'll keep you going. But beyond that, it's what other skill sets can you learn or pick up all along the way, right? Habit stack if you need to. If it's a completely different skill set, so be it. But I think that is the biggest exponential variable that you can instill within yourself, right? So if you are thinking, hey, I hate this 9-to-5 corporate job, either A, figure out how to hack that. For me, it's been every 2 years, put your resume out. The market will tell you if your skill set is nonsense or what else you need to learn to level up. Now, for me personally, from a CPA standpoint, is if you're going to do that, fine. But for me, own a business, side hustle, whatever you want to call it, right? And really run it like one. If you're in the realtor space, well, guess what? You own a business. You are a business owner, right? So now, from that standpoint, how can you level up your business? Get a coach, get a mentor, get a crew, right? Get a group of people that you can believe in that will propel you forward, right? And get financial literacy in your pocket, whether it's hired or not. That's part of your team. Get a CPA who understands how to run a business, how to tax plan, a tax preparer, and a tax strategist. Two separate things. Two completely separate things. They are not the same, okay? Secondly, get a financial advisor that is incentivized to have you do well, not their bottom line, right? An attorney, by definition, should be looking out for your best interest. But are you covered legally? Are you doing the right things as a business owner? Are they keeping you covered, right? And obviously, the mentors and coaches, I still stack in that one pillar, right? Because they will help your business propel forward, right? Gloria has been instrumental. I don't know if I ever told you this, Gloria, but you've actually kept me mentally level, and I want to thank you for that. If I haven't yet, I want to thank you that personally. Thank you so much. But it is that, right? Like for me, you are gonna find those people. Oh, I did it by myself. Great, fantabulous, right? But by and large, the most people who have done well and continue to do exceptionally well, if you ask them and they're honest about it, they're like, look, this is my squad. Me by myself, no, I executed on these things. But the tool in my tool belt are all these people, all of them, right? And they do this so that I don't have to think about it, right?
It's called leverage.
Absolutely.
Leverage.
Absolutely. And I do realize that I took up a lot of your time. Year, and I know it's very busy for a lot of other things other than, Any last minute bits of advice, related, unrelated, anything?
I got a few. I'm just gonna tell the audience: give yourself grace to fail, and you're gonna fail a lot, but you pick yourself up. You got 5 seconds to have your pity party. Get your bleep up and get back to work. Follow the plan and your schedule. And then what was the other one I have? Don't come off of commission breath. Whatever you're doing, just don't come off of commission breath. People can smell that a mile away if they sense that you're only in it for the money. Yes, we're trying to get paid, but we're looking to help people with whatever they're looking for. And then the other one is protect your mindset and your time. Simple as that. You figure out what that means to you.
I'm going to say always evaluate your tribe. I had to do that recently because your tribe is your vibe. And remember, like these are the people that are going to say things to your face and not behind your back, so you're not pulling out the knives, right? And that are always pushing you to be the best version of yourself. And just remember, you're never alone, right? I mean, I hope every agent in this office knows that no matter what time of day or night it is, if they call me, I'm picking up that call. You're never alone. You've always got people in your corner. And if you don't feel like you have that in your life, then make a change. Make sure you always have someone in your corner. And I mean, for me, besides my amazing tribe, my husband, 37 years, my children, our broker, Lou, I got a group of fellow team leaders, chief people developers that are always there for me. You need those people in your life.
I guess for me, I really just want to say keep moving forward. As hard as it is every day, even when you have a setback, even when you feel like why, just keep moving forward because eventually you will find that you've made it a mile and next you've made it 2 miles. Just keep moving forward. Do what it takes to keep moving forward. Don't, even if your brain is saying to yourself, oh, I can't do this. If you want to say that, fine, but as you're saying it, make sure your feet are moving forward. Don't stop moving forward because eventually you will get to where you want to be. Just do that because life isn't easy. You just keep moving forward. And if anyone wants to ask me, I will tell them the evolution of my life and people will see just the power of what moving forward means, just to keep moving forward.
I am curious if any of you have any other best bits of advice that you've ever heard. I want you to comment down below and let me know what that was. And kind of curious to see what comes up. But if people want to reach out, where can they find you? Let's start with you, Gloria.
You can definitely find me on the Keller Williams website, my own website, queensrealestatecoach.kw.com or kwnyhomes.com is the Keller one. You can call the main office here. If I'm not here, they can direct it to my cell phone, 718-475-2700. I'm pretty easy to find.
That is true. What about you, Patricia?
So you can reach me at 917-727-7748, lucky number sevens, or at pcanale@kw.com. And I'm happy to talk through anything with anyone. I know that's part of the process. So anytime you need help, please feel free to call.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, Mr. St. Gerard.
You can find me on social media on Instagram. It's Evans Sells Homes. And my cell phone is 917-975-5985. Or you can scan this QR code.
Ooh, leveling up. What's up?
Fancy.
Fancy.
Bam.
Scan that QR code, get my contact information. And that's pretty much it. And the last thing I want to say is pretty much stop being afraid of being afraid and just do it.
Let's go.
Seek out advice. Reach out to Gloria. Reach out to the staff. The first step is opening up your mouth, saying, "Hey, I need to do this," and just doing it and then implement it.
I want to give my Instagram too. Come and look at my
Go
talking
for it.
head, Patricia_Canale.
There you go. And there you have it. You heard it from some of the heavy hitters and high performers, high performers
Performers.
in our office. If you have any questions, feel free to hit out any one of these beautiful individuals. With that said, thank you for your time. And guys, I'll hit you on the next one. Peace.
Bye, everyone.
Happy holidays.